Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. And today I get to sit down with my friend Barney Fonzi, who is the publisher of Diablo Publications. Barney, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate it.
It's good to finally do it. We were just talking off camera. It's been a bear trying to get time together because we're just such popular guys, the two of us.
Is that what it's all about, right? Oh,
Um,
I looked
so
back to
first
when
question.
we first started talking, and it was like 9 months ago. I said, "Hey, a baby could have been born in the amount of time it's taken us to get this actually rolling."
An actual human life
You
could
believe
be
it?
in existence.
Crazy.
Uh, it is. It's like that sometimes. There are so many people that I would love to get time with, and I just have to wait for the window to happen. And this is one of those cases. So I'm glad to be with you today. Um, First question for you is something that most people don't know about you, or that many people, or that our listeners wouldn't necessarily know about you.
Probably what comes to mind is that I'm a classic car buff. Love 1950s, even a few 40s, up through the muscle car period. For some reason resonated with me as a little kid. And to this day, it's still, if there's a car show around, I'm there. And I actually have a 1955 Buick that is quasi restored. Got a little more work to do on it, but it's a fun hobby.
Who's doing the work? Are you doing the work on it? You work on it
No,
yourself?
I wish. Actually, if I had enough room to do it, I probably could do some of the work myself, the engine stuff. But
Yeah,
because engines back then were
yeah.
pretty simple compared to, my other car, I lift the hood and it's like, okay, where's the engine on this thing? You don't even see it. It's all covered up. But
I
but
know.
now it's so that it's also a money pit because it's like, you do things and then you're like, I can't believe I'm spending this much money on restoring a car, and then I put it aside for a while and get back to it. But that looks good on the outside, needs a little bit of mechanical work, and needs the interior done. But it's a fun car.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time. I'm seeing a trend start to manifest here because I interviewed Colin Baker of Akron Life
Mm-hmm.
magazine, and he confessed that he was a race car driver before he became a
Wow.
publisher. Um, and so we've got just some interesting stories that you never would know unless you ask that
Yeah.
crazy question. Uh, so you and him can maybe geek
He'd
out
probably
someday. We'll
beat me
see.
on the street for sure if he was. Yeah.
He probably would beat you on the street. Like he seems like he knows how to handle himself. Yeah. So we're gonna get to know you a bit, Barney, and get to know your story. So I'd like to hear a little bit of your origin story of how you came into media.
Okay. Totally backwards. Really, it was funny. I went to UCLA. Grew up here in Northern California and went down south to school. And I went as pre med. And after about a year, I said, this ain't gonna happen. It was like at that time, I think 20% of the school was pre med, and it was the science stuff. I
Yeah.
find fascinating, but it just wasn't, my passion. And so I switched over and became an
Yeah.
econ major, and graduated with that degree, and started working in school for Bank of America. And when I got out, I got into the whole lending training program and was on kind of the track for banking, and did that for probably about 7 or 8 years, and I had a stint for a
Yeah.
while in with Bank of America in marketing and the advertising department in Southern California, and it was
Yeah.
interesting to me because it was more creative. Banking, especially back then, this was in the late '70s, early '80s, was pretty straightforward and boring. You kind of just followed the book and did everything just according to plan. And
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, I was up here. I moved back to the Bay Area and was talking with a friend of mine who I'd known since kindergarten. I had lunch with her one day, and I said, I got to get into something more sales and creative, and I just don't know what it is. And she says, "Oh, you got to talk to this guy I'm dating. He's got a magazine, and he needs a sales manager." And I was like, I haven't even been in sales yet. I haven't managed yet. And you think, why would I be, a sales manager? She goes, hey, the magazine's like, just getting started. There's no money there. There's nothing but an opportunity.
Yep.
And you and he would fit, and you should do it. And the guy was Steve Rivera. He founded the magazine, 45 years ago, I guess. And he and I had a job interview and over a bottle of wine one night at a restaurant here. And, I gave 3 weeks notice at B of A, and that was 40 years ago, and started, at Diablo Publications. So learned it all,
Crazy.
From the inside out. I mean, there were 5 of us when I started, and it was just, a newsprint magazine, if you will, just going to glossy. And I just kind of stumbled into the business, and it was absolutely the right fit for me.
So how did you know? Because I think it's interesting because I talk to a lot of people, as you can probably imagine, in the role of podcasting and all that, and just my normal job. I talk to a lot of people, and specifically a lot of publishers, and there tends to be these defining moments like what you're describing, but a lot of times they took a risk. There was a risk that they had to take. That feels like a risk, which you're at a job that's paying you real money, and you're heading into a situation where, yeah, it's fine. They'll hire me as a sales manager. They don't have any money anyway yet. How did you get to the place where you were able to take
first of all,
that
I
leap?
was young. I didn't have a lot of responsibility in terms of, bills or anything that I had to worry about. So, financially, I could do it. I think it was, I've always been a bit of a risk taker. I think that it's like, I'm pretty consistent. It's kind of, it's a yin and yang, I think, a little bit, because I've been here 40 years yet. So I stick around, but at the same token, it was like, that sounds like something I want to do. And at that point in my life, I was still trying to figure it all out. I knew it was a risk. I was going to make less money on the front end, but it just sounded exciting. I liked the vision and basically the vision of the founder. He was a cool guy, and we clicked right away. Yeah. Because his thoughts were, why do I want to hire you? You've never been in sales or sales management. But we just clicked, and so I think it was just right at the right time to just take that leap. And I didn't immediately feel like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect job for me. And I started working here, and I'll never forget. I was working on my MBA at San Francisco State. When I switched careers, and I was sitting in class one night, and I was thinking about work or whatever instead of paying attention, I guess, to the teacher. And all of a sudden, I was just like, I thought, damn. I said, if I had a business and I was starting it in the East Bay, Walnut Creek area of California, I would absolutely use Diablo Magazine to advertise. And that was like 6 months after I had been working here. So, it just clicked. And at that point, it became my passion. I realized the product was what, represented what I wanted to represent, and that the fit was right. But it wasn't an immediate thing. It did take some time to have to really go through the processes of my brain.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're a bit of a dreamer. Sounds like a bit of a daydreamer, dreamer.
It is. Yeah. I like
creativity.
It really is funny. I like the specifics of some like math and things like that, but I love, dreaming up and thinking about, maybe doing it this way, or why don't we try that, or, whatever.
Yeah. Now, so then how, I have a couple questions about that, but before I get to that, I'm going to ask, so story wise, you come over, you get hired on as a sales manager, no experience. You've never done any kind of sales,
right.
Or media sales at all, right? And so then how did that go?
Yeah, well,
you come on,
it's
were
really
you
funny.
able to produce? Like how did that happen?
Than me, maybe, but I remember he hired 3 of us at the same time. This is out of a 5-person company. So it was him, an admin assistant, and 3 people in sales. And, everything else was freelanced out. And the
Wow.
magazine had been around for about 4 years. So it wasn't, brand new.
Yeah.
But he said, whoever sells the most after, I can't remember if it was 30 days or 60 days, could be the sales manager. And then 2 days later, he said to me, you know what, I think I'm going to make you the sales manager. He goes, forget about the rest of it. And I think it was, I just probably had the skill set, nothing against the other 2. They were great salespeople, but it was just like, that's how it took place. Yeah. And, I think over time, I mean, I was successful at sales. I'm pretty good at it, but I always say that that's not my biggest passion and strongest suit. I think I'm best at managing people and working with people, and not from an ego or want to be the guy there. It just kind of I get more excitement out of helping somebody put together a big deal and making it happen than I do that me go out and do it. It's I've kind of always had that sort of mentality.
Yeah,
I would say so. Yep, absolutely.
So team player. You like to be on the team.
Wins. I mean, it makes it so
and you
exciting
like to be leading. You feel
see the team accomplish something rather than individuals doing it.
So let me push on that a little bit. Is it what is it about that that's satisfying? Is it satisfying the look in the rep's eyes when you help them do something bigger than maybe they thought they could do themselves? Is it the look in the client's eyes when they see this cool package that that's coming their way, that's excellent and beyond what they were expecting? Like where does the point? Everybody has their different dopamine.
I think I'm a big believer in win-win.
Right? So
what is it for you? I really do. When you hit it with the client on, you hit a home run because you got something that works for them, and it's obviously a success for the individual who's out there selling it. So it's both. Probably biggest thrill is when I see someone on our team, have wins, because, they're there, hopefully for a long time. Clients, you hope to have long relationships, but, some come and go. If it's a good package and if it's, again, win-win and benefits the client. I'm the first one to say, when I know we aren't going to work for a client, to say, you know what, we're not the right fit. You should really go do this instead, because you're going to have a greater success.
Yeah. I think I asked you this, but I don't remember what your answer was.
That to me probably 9 months ago.
Have you ever heard of a book called The Go-Giver?
I haven't read it yet. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I am buying that book for you. Like once we get off, you're going to give me I want your address. I'm sending you this book because it's interesting, because the way you think about business just naturally, and the parts of the parts of doing business that light you up really remind me of the premise of this book. And so in this book, there are 5, what he calls the 5 laws of stratospheric success. It's a parable. It's kind of, it's one of those business parable type books where it tells a story, and it's, but the first law is, your true professional worth is measured in how much more value you give than what you receive in payment. Let me say that again. Your true professional worth is measured in how much more value you give than what you receive in payment. And so this is book about radical giving, like radical value creation. And it's the justification showing that radical value creation ultimately leads to all the business outcomes that you would want to have, right? Revenue.
Right.
But it's if you're just aiming at profit, you're aiming the wrong place, right? But if you're aiming at value,
I look forward to reading it.
Profit comes,
I mean, I ascribe to that. I mean, I think if you're just looking at bottom line, book. I mean, I've always thought that you're missing the point, because you're going to make some mistakes. I mean, we all make mistakes anyway, but you're going to miss some things if you're just focused on that number being a certain thing. And there are probably other ways to get to that number
Yeah.
by looking beyond just what that is. But yeah, I look forward to reading that. Sounds like a cool book, Johnny. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you'll enjoy it. And I think it'll, like I said, for me, I already thought like that to some degree, but having a language for it was really helpful for me.
Right.
And it then made me able to kind of push that lever forward 10, 15, 20% and get even more crazy with it. And so I suspect that's what it'll do for you. And I did get to interview the author. Like the author was co-authored by Bob Berg and John David Mann. Bob Berg, I got to sit with him, and that's probably
awesome.
One of my biggest guests I've been able to have was sitting with Bob Berg, author of The Go-Giver, and just listening to his heart. So, and he's an incredible dude. So anyway, you've got a treat, and anybody who's watching, you're in for a treat too. Like, you got to get that book. It's such a good book. Yeah. So then let's get into the story a little further. So I love this, and it's actually painting the picture that I had hoped to paint, which is really getting into the deep guts of what makes you effective at your job. But my next question would be, what was it about you? What did Steve Rivera see? Mm-hmm. Right? Because Steve Rivera sounds like a discerner, like a person who could discern potential. Right. And we all have mentors. I mean, most of us, at least, I know I have mentors who saw something that I didn't even see in me.
Probably
and they called me
somebody who was enthusiastic.
Can you tell me a little bit about what Steve saw?
I'm a pretty enthusiastic guy and positive. I sometimes don't even realize, and people say, "Oh my God, you're so enthusiastic." I said, "Really?
Yes, you are.
Isn't everybody
yes,
like this?" But no, I am, and I, have a positive attitude to a fault. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. Because, I probably don't pay attention to some of the negative signals as I should. And I think, somebody who was, really wanting to learn and willing to roll their sleeves up and do whatever, it takes to make it all work. And I think an honest person. I mean, I like to think of myself as just an honest guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that served you well. So all those things, enthusiasm, and I can totally see it, like what you're describing, enthusiasm,
I love it,
positivity, like I've got that too, just that obnoxious positivity. That's just, it's the best, dude. Like, yeah. You got big smile, teachable,
Absolutely.
hard worker.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
and that's the kind of people you want to surround you. I'm sure these are the kinds of things you probably look for in people that you hire, right? Like you want a teachable person.
Use an overused term.
Someone's going to work hard. You want
but everybody, it is positive, and it's like, what can I help you with, and what can we do, and you got to love that sort of attitude. I mean, it works for us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then early on, because there's for all of us, I think there's things that when we're doing those things, it feels magic, right? Like for me, it's connecting with people, right? Like this interview, like you and me spending time together. I don't have bad interviews. I just don't. You know what I mean? It's like magic in a sense, because it just always works. I mean, I'm the same dude when I'm going to Starbucks and having a deep conversation with the barista there, holding up traffic behind me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same. Yeah, but it's like the magic. So when you're in your early sales manager sales roles, and then along the way,
you mean in terms of a progression of years doing it, or
right? When does it feel the most effortless and the most joyful?
Oh, the work activities I do. It's meeting with clients,
the
and
particular
working with the
work
team.
activities that you do that bring you the most joy.
I relate to exactly what you're saying. I mean, it really is about the people, and whether it's working with, because we're small, I work closely with our editors as well, and our production people. So it isn't only salespeople that I work with. And, it really, when you can collaborate and make something happen, overcome a hurdle, going to see a client, and whether it's, initially and getting them on board and having a mutual meeting of the minds, or solving problems. It's problems come up, and it's like, if you can't sit and talk about it, then you go nowhere with it. So I really do think
Yeah.
it's about the people to this day.
Yes.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. And that comes back to what you've been saying all along. Like winning as a team. That's what lights you up. Right. You want to, yeah. Yeah. And I imagine that trickles right down into the culture, because every workplace has a different culture. What would you say is the culture of your team? Like what would you use to
really
describe
strong commitment.
What makes your team special?
I think, where we talked a little before, but being the fact that we're so local, there's a real strong bond with the community.
Yeah.
And wanting to deliver the best thing we can deliver.
Yeah.
And a positive attitude. I think
Yeah.
everybody, for the most part. I mean, you get a few people here that aren't as positive as others, but
Yeah.
all in all, it's just that positive. We're doing a fun business. We're not saving lives
Yeah.
or any of that sort of
Yeah.
thing, and we're just are more creative and fun things. So 9 times out of 10, our day should be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a sense of mission or purpose there that's driving things? It sounds, I hear the hints of it, right? When you talk about strong,
Well,
strong
it's funny.
bond with the
We
community
have a
and
mission statement, and it
commitment,
talks about
positive
commitment
attitude.
to ourselves.
So what do you
it's
see as the
actually to our
mission
community,
of your
to
organization? What are you
our
trying to
partners,
accomplish
and
in
to
the world?
ourselves? And community comes up all the time. I mean, it's like we kind of feel like we're the town square for the area that we operate in, and we want to be a provider of things to entertain, to enlighten, to educate. We want to be that thing that you think of Diablo. This is Diablo Magazine specifically, is where you go to rest your mind a bit, maybe, and enjoy, but with quality. Not just a bunch of fluff stuff either. So, and I think that we've done a pretty good job of that.
Yeah. 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 That's and that resonates because I've done a lot of these interviews, and I've done a lot of time just asking the question, like, what is specifically in your case, what is the regional publication? What is the regional magazine? What is the essence of it when it comes right down to it? And the best answers that I've received on that is, it's a reflection of the community. It serves the community. It invites the community. A town hall is kind of the way that you put it, right? Like you're the storyteller of the community.
Yeah. One of my biggest thrills
in that
was,
space,
many years ago when I didn't have to keep saying, I'm from Diablo Magazine and explain what it was.
Right.
And when I say, I'm from Diablo Magazine, and people were, responsive, it was like, oh, I know Diablo Magazine. And it was like a big thrill to know that, we've established ourselves, as a player in the community. And it really made a big difference.
Yes. Yeah. 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 So then that makes me wonder about the future. So, I did a survey. I did kind of an informal survey of publishers and friends in the industry, and was just trying to get my pulse on how are people feeling, right? Like what's the prevailing feeling, and the most often the response I received was something like this: we know we need to innovate and change, but we have less time than ever before and less money than ever before, and so there was a sense of being stuck, right? That a lot of people, and again, I think there's varying degrees of it.
Very much it does, because most of it. And I don't know who
what would you say
were that you
if I were to ask you that question? Does that resonate with you at all, or what are you seeing from where you're standing?
And cash is limited, and more so now than ever. And so it's like you're always looking at, okay, there's that golden apple out there that. And not even just that it's the golden apple. There's just so many things that you want to do and you wish you could do and you need to do, but it's like, okay, how do you do them? And so it's real tricky. And that's probably the biggest challenge today, in my opinion, is finding the carving the time and money out to do the things that are
Yeah.
most important and not letting them get away from you. And at the same time, staying true to your core. We were talking earlier, and, we've come to realize that although there's so many messages about print is dead, and that's been going on for a long time, it isn't. It still, if you look at our core business, we're a printed magazine, and that's what our audience wants. Even whether they're,
Yeah.
75 years old or they're 35 years old, they're still asking for that and wanting that. So to let go of any of that or, shave resources off of that in order to be able to do more with new things, it's a hard decision. And, I don't think you can let your eye off the ball in terms of what your core competency is.
Yeah.
I do.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Stand true. It makes me think of,
Yes.
Ray Paprocki. I don't know if you remember Ray. Wise man. I say remember not because he's passed. I say remember because he retired. But just such a wise brother. And I asked him one day. I said, Ray, what keeps you up at night? Or does anything keep you up at night? And he said, he thought about it, and he basically said no. He said my magazine exists to give gifts to the people. And the channel of that gift, I need to give gifts to the people in the medium in which they can receive the gift. Right. He said, so I'm not a print company. I'm not a digital company. I'm a gift company. I give gifts to the people. So as long as I'm giving gifts to the people and as long as people are receiving what I give them as a gift, it feels like a gift to receive it from me, then I'm doing my job. And if they stop wanting the gift in one medium, then I'll give it to them in a different medium. But my business is the gift. And for some reason, sometimes people say very simple things, but they're just also very profound, right? And I just remember after that conversation really thinking a lot about that, that he wasn't having an existential crisis about the aging out of his readership, right? He was.
That's true. No,
I
absolutely. That resonates with me as well because it's
my job is to.
It is.
My job is to delight this community.
Content, information.
And the day I stop delighting this community, I should cease to exist.
Because we do deliver it digitally as well as in print. Or who knows what the future brings. But as long as you're giving that information or that content in a way that your partners out there in the community want, it's a gift, and it's great. I love that. Ray was a wise guy, not a wise guy. He was wise, a wise man.
Yeah. He was a wise guy. Tell him you called him a wise guy. Oh man.
Well,
so then what are the bright spots that you see? Like, what are the things that you're excited about?
One of the things
the things that have worked at Diablo, things that you expect to continue to grow. What are the parts of the business
which is not a bad thing, and it's good. But you sometimes forget that we're in a people business, and I think that we kind of had an aha moment a while back, a few months ago, and just said, we've really got to get out there face to face a lot more. Our constituency, whether it's readers or it's advertisers, the lion's share of the advertisers, they're all local here. And we can see them, we can shake their hands, we can pat them on the back, whatever. And we've got to do more of that because everyone's getting inundated with emails and, we're hearing can't get somebody or whatever. And it's, time to do more phone calling and more face-to-face. And I think it's starting to pay off for us. I do, think that connection, people missed it. We all got shut down by the pandemic and then, came back in different ways. But, that face-to-face was something that was less than what it had been before. And I don't know that it'll ever get back there. But it really has become, I think, a more important part. And I'm seeing also just people responding to some of like the special sections we do or whatever, a lot more interest than there has been in the last year or two. And I don't know if that's short term. We'll see where it goes. Knock wood, it's, a trend. But, I think people are looking back to maybe some of the things that they used to do in the past that they felt that were integral to their
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think there's just some general
And you would
increase
attribute
too.
that increase in
I think you
interest
stick to the things that
to
work.
the
It was
fact that
funny
you
because
and
you're
your team
always
are
trying
getting
to
out
launch something
into
new
the
to
world more.
generate interest.
Is that
And we've seen over the course of time, something that's kind of, bitten us is that people have gotten off of contracts and, they want to buy month to month. I don't, and I find that, I hear that from a lot of publishers. And it's like, I remember the days when we had 70% of our clients on a 12-time contract. And now, and that was the truth. We had a good rate incentive for them. And, now it's impossible to get, anyone to commit, more than a couple months at a time. And so that drains resources too, because you're always reselling to the same people,
Yeah.
But I am seeing a little bit more resonance from some people that kind of had fallen away for a bit. And so we'll see where that goes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah. So that I kind of have to say this. That reminds me a little bit of I interviewed Logan Aguirre over at 417 magazine. One of the most amazing stories. Like she interviewed her top advertisers,
right?
And she had prior to this had been out in the community. She told me the story. She'd been out in the community, doing a lot of speaking and just being out a lot of the time, but was really thinking, okay, what's this doing for my bottom line? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing this? And had this interview with one of her main advertisers, and this advertiser said that he had stopped advertising with radio and TV and everywhere else. And, and she said, and she took the risk and said, well, why haven't you stopped advertising with us? Something like this, I'm paraphrasing. And this advertiser said, well, because you are the community. So, and she tied it back to
right
being out, right, and her face being seen, and so I'll never forget that, man. So like what you're describing,
they want to know you're
out.
part
How
of
can
their
you be
family,
the community if you're not out in the community, right?
So anyway, it takes personal contact, in my opinion, to do that.
You want your advertisers to be saying, no, I'll always advertise with you. You're the community. Like, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And you've painted a really good picture for us in terms of your style of leadership and your approach to publishing. Last question I'll ask as we're winding down. Let's see. You said 40 years you've been doing this. 40 years. So picture, a young publisher just got into the role, learning the ropes. Learning what it means to be leading a media, print organization.
It isn't specific to just print or media. I think it's anything wisdom you do.
What distilled
probably
wisdom?
Most of the people listening will be related to that these industries
to help them be successful.
I think is one you never stop learning. Because it just, I learn now. I probably learn more now than I did when I was younger. But learning is key always, and listening, because all the ideas, I always like to say, and I hope I don't go over time here, Johnny, but it's interesting, when you're younger, when you're young, you want to prove yourself. And, and you're like, oh, I can do that. And I'm good at this. And given all the reasons why, you're good at everything.
As
you get older, you realize,
good.
What, I'm not good
I will
at
not
everything.
stop you here.
And there are some things that others can do better, and they should do them. And there are, probably a narrow window of the things that, I'm the best at. And you know what? Stick to that, because I believe, what's the old saying about, overcome your weaknesses, and there's something about it, but I'm a big believer in play to your strengths. and realize that. And the earlier you realize that, I think the better off you are. It doesn't mean you don't try to learn the other things, and you don't, but listen to others that know how to do it better, and communicate, because that's the key to anything.
Yes.
Is you got to be communicating with all those you interact with. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I love that. You see me over here pumping my fist, going crazy. Like I literally wrote a book about that. It's called The Superpower Quest.
Yeah.
And it's about playing to your strengths, finding your superpower,
Right.
pulling that lever all the time, right? And then learning to work with other people in your areas of kryptonite. So it's like superpower comic book language, right? Like
Yes, it is.
don't spend a lot of time working in your kryptonite.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you have
That's
to,
where
you have to do it some.
So
but you're going to
follow it.
want to, like you're going to be much more effective if you join forces with other people in the areas of your weakness and if you play to your strengths. And it's a lot more fun, to be honest.
Oh,
if
you're
you can
very
do
welcome.
it.
Thank you, Johnny. It's been my pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you for the wisdom, Barney. This has been an incredible time that we've gotten to spend together and learning about you. So thank you for sitting with me, and everybody who's been up with us up to this point. Another great conversation. Like that's what I'm going to continue to bring you is people of wisdom, people of excellence, sharing their experience, sharing their story, sharing their superpowers with you. And so thanks for hanging out with us up to this point, and we will see you next time. Take it easy, everybody.